Hello, good morning and welcome to News Desk. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 across all our social media handles or Joy News on TV. Coming up, flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, accuses the governing New Patriotic Party of not telling Ghanaians the truth as he paints a grim picture of the country's economic outlook.
I've been out of government for almost 8 years now. I did my best. I wouldn't say things were perfect, but at least we're making progress.
Also in this bulletin, Joy News uncovers how custom officials take as low as 20 Ghana cedis in bribes to allow traders to transport smuggled goods from neighboring countries into Ghana. These plus business news coming up in the next 60 minutes. My name is Faustina Safo. Take a seat, be my guest. Thanks for staying with us. Now, former President John Dramani Mahama is accusing the governing New Patriotic Party of not telling Ghanaians the truth, as he says the country's economic situation is worse than what people are being told. Speaking at the launch of the party's national campaign at Tamale in the northern region over the weekend, he said he will not tell lies if elected into office. He also promised constitutional reforms, employment, and a national women's bank, and many other initiatives. There's more in this report by Maxwell.
The Jubilee Park at Tamale was painted in the NDC colors with thousands of people clad in the party paraphernalia at the event. The MC said the party does not only have the men but the women as well. They introduced journalist Shamima Muslim, Dr. Zaneto Jiman Rollins, and many others. It was the first time Shamima was on an NDC stage at a major political event after publicly declaring her support for John Mahama. She said she would vote for the NDC in December.
Today our nation is in crisis. Our nation is at the crossroads because of the deep mismanagement and recklessness of the New Patriotic Party under the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia. I was heartbroken as a breastfeeding mother when I took my little girl to the clinic and I was told then that there was shortage of vaccines. This was the same time that our president, the vanguard of democracy, was busily flying luxurious private jets across the length and breadth of this world, spraying us with bath water and telling us to tighten our belts.
The Jubilee Park here at Tamale in the northern region is virtually bursting at its seams with thousands of NDC supporters gathered here for the grand launch of the party's national campaign. The top brass of the party are also gathered here, and they have been addressing the crowd. Agroecology Member of Parliament, Dr. Zaneto Rollins, says it is time for Ghanaians to root out and eliminate corruption.
These people believe that everybody can be bought at a price, and we have to prove them wrong. We have to tell them enough is enough. The money that they received from the World Bank for the re-engineering of the Garrett project that they squandered, and people are now sharing. That money is not going to make a change to the lives of Ghanaians.
The national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, has also been urging the security agencies to be impartial in the December elections.
Where is the IGP if he is listening? My message to you is simple. The day you were commissioned into leadership of our security services, you swore an oath to protect the interests of Ghanaians. You didn't swear to protect the interests of any regime that is in power for the time being. We know you are working under pressure, but please, you can absorb that pressure and do the right thing for the next 4 months.
Former minority leader and Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu said the NDC has demonstrated leadership and will continue to do so if it's elected into power. NDC running mate Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman called on critics to stop comparing John Mahama's administration with the current government.
And those who make comparisons, you don't compare unlike things. Don't compare his performance on his achievements with what this current government is giving us. It's like comparing cassava to oranges or cassava to lemon. There's no commonality among them.
The crowd was raptured into a state of joy when the NDC flag bearer mounted the stage to deliver his speech. Among others, he talked about the future NDC government initiating constitutional reforms, the 24-hour economy, setting up of a national women's bank, providing jobs to the people, and more.
My brothers and sisters, it is not going to be easy. The more I look at the figures, the more I look at our situation, it is even worse than what this government is telling us. It's going to take a lot of hard work. And as has been said, one person alone cannot do it. We would need the cooperation of the whole country to be able to lift Ghana back on its feet again. I've been out of government for almost 8 years now. I did my best. I wouldn't say things were perfect, but at least we're making progress. What I can promise you is that I will be truthful to you. I will never tell you lies. I will never tell you things that I can't do.
Now, what makes the NDC so confident of victory? Let's get more on this. Join us now is the National Deputy Communications Officer of the party, Malik Basintale. Thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, let's get right into it. Why are you so confident that indeed Ghanaians will give you the nod in the upcoming December elections?
First of all, thank you for having me. We are confident that Ghanaians will give us the nod because we simply didn't go out there chanting promises or exhibiting our manifesto, to the Ghanaian people. We first went to listen to them. We went into their homes, we went into their schools, we went into their shops, we met organized labor, we met the TUC, we met Abuso spare part dealers, we met nursing associations, we met teachers associations, and we met you journalists, and we listened to you. And whatever you told us will be, the way forward to revamping and resetting our economy are the things we factored. And so yesterday, if you listen to the speech, first of all, I'll give thanks to the Almighty God for giving us a successful program. I also wish to thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the nation builder and next president of the Republic of Ghana, at least for making my work easy this morning. I don't have to apologize to anyone. I don't have to try to re-explain what he had already said on the platform. And we don't have to go around there pleading with people because simply he didn't insult Nkrumah, he didn't insult JB Dankwa. He went straight to the point because he knew in his mind that he was speaking to 1.8 million unemployed youths out there. He knew in his mind that he was speaking to unpaid contractors. He knew in his mind that he was speaking to nursing trainees and teacher trainees who had not been posted. And so it wasn't a platform for jokes. It was an avenue to churn out policies and to tell the Ghanaian people how his government is going to look like. And yesterday, you would bear witness that President Mahama did the needful, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman did the needful. At least in a humbling manner, she exhibited compassion. She made the Ghanaian people feel that she understands where we are today. She made the Ghanaian people feel that she understands their plights. And anybody who listened to Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman would have realized that, look, She spoke from a feminine point of view. She spoke from a woman point of view. She used herself as an example. And she said, look, our husbands today are being declared irresponsible. Our brothers are being declared irresponsible. It is time for women to get on board, fully on board. And I, Professor Nana John Opoku-Agyeman, I'm coming on board to open that gate, to break that glass ceiling for all women, including the unborn generation of women, to pass through and also be of good assistance to the economy of this country. And yesterday, look, truthfully, you would attest to the fact that she came on board with policies, not just
Okay, we'll get into that shortly. We'll get into the policy she came on board, because I'm looking forward to the launch of the manifesto in the Central Region. But let's get into the chairman of the party, his speech yesterday. He raised concerns about campaigning on religious grounds. But the NDC went ahead to launch its campaign in the Northern Region. Isn't that a subtle way of affirming critics' concern that this year's election is mostly going to be on religious grounds? Why did you go to the North?
Did you see us launch the campaign in the mosques? We launched it at the Jubilee Park. And so is the Jubilee Park now a religious grounds? You would have accused us if we had carried our campaign to Saudi Arabia and launched it in Mecca. But we launched it in the North. Who told you the people of the North are entirely Muslims? The people of the North are Muslims and Christians. People come from the North, they are Christians. People come from the North, they are traditionalists. And people come from the North and they are Muslims. And so how does launching your campaign at the Jubilee Park in the North amount to, moving on religious grounds in this country? The man who has attempted plunging this country into chaos is Alhaji Bawumia. He is the one who has been heard on tape to going around and telling people, vote for me because I'm a Muslim. He says that freely, without fear. And I'm entirely surprised, because this country is more than 60 years. We've lived in harmony as Christians and Muslims. Elections on who becomes president is not elections on who becomes chief imam, or elections on who becomes the pope, or who becomes the catechist. It's an election on who becomes president of the Republic of Ghana, over Muslims, over Christians, over traditionalists, over Buddhists, and over anybody who finds himself, no matter the religious corridor, you find yourself in. And so if we need to accuse anybody of attempting plunging this country into chaos on religious grounds, it is Alhaji Bawumia, and I'll take this opportunity to call you all out. Let's plead with him to stop that. Ghana is a peaceful nation. Ghana is a highly, religiously tolerant nation, and Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, traditionalists, we've lived in harmony. We don't vote because you are a Muslim or because you are a Christian. In other words, in 2016, when Dr. Bawumia was saying that you should vote for him because he's a Muslim and he will take the Quran to the Flagstaff House, Hajj fares were 13,000 Ghana cedis going to Mecca by Muslims. Today, if you want to go on pilgrimage, you have to pay 75,000 Ghana cedis, 750 million cedis before you can go. It has tripled. In fact, when the debate on hijab was high in this country, in 2016, President Mahama said, look, allow girl child to wear the hijab if they want to. In 2017, when Dr. Bawumia came, he never commented on it. He left the girl child to their own fate. Wasn't the same Dr. Bawumia who promised to build villas and redevelop the Zongos? When the Zongos were waiting for full development, he rather told them he was going to teach them Kenke and Wache and how to prepare Sobolo. And so, my sister, let us come together and eschew those religious politics. I'm a young man. I wish that politics develops in this country and grows. I wish that religion grows in tolerance. And I want to see Muslims, Christians, and whoever it takes live in harmony. And so let's condemn the path in which the MPP's flag bearer, Alhaji Bawumia, is treading on. It won't help our politics in this country. And that's all what our national chairman was talking about. We went to Tamale simply because we are confident that, first of all, anywhere we launch our manifesto, we'll be bold enough to tell the people what we have done for them. Not only Tamale was on the table, other regions were on the table. We're considering Ashanti, we're considering the Eastern, we're considering the Western. But as a political party, we have programs for every region. Recent past, we've held programs in the Ashanti region, we've held programs in the Greater Accra region, and what have you. And we'll continue to hold different programs at different regions. We came to Tamale because Tamale is a region in Ghana, and Tamale is part of the 16 regions of Ghana. And the people of Tamale and the northern region also vote in the election. We came there to tell them how we converted the Tamale airport into an international airport. We came there to tell them how President Mahama developed the Fuforoso Solar Road. We came there to tell them how President Mahama revamped the Tamale Teaching Hospital. We came there to tell them how President Mahama asphalted the roads of Tamale. We came there to tell them how President Mahama built the BP Nut factory. We came there to tell them how President Mahama built the Tolong Hospital.
Okay,
we
Malik.
came there to tell them how President Mahama built the BP Hospital. Take a pen and paper.
Okay,
I
Malik.
tell you the things we did there.
Let me hold on, Malik.
We came there to
hold
tell
on, Malik.
them that
Let me find out from you.
So we move on.
Malik,
right.
Hold on. Let me find out from you. Your flag bearer has painted a grim picture of the country's economic outlook. And you say that you are the savior of the economy. Now, by the time, if you're elected into office, by the time you take office, by then Ghana's external debt restructuring would have elapsed. You would then be servicing a lot of loans. How then do you plan to create employment when you're servicing so much loans with your GDP?
You see, I've said that it is not the full availability of money that determines the success of an economy. No. There are people who earn higher than you in the studio, but have been highly irresponsible. And today, you who earn even a mega salary, you live a very responsible and comfortable life than all those people. President Mahama developed this country in his first 4 years with only 44 billion. Yet, with 44 billion, he gave us Terminal 3. He gave us the KJTR market. He gave us Kotokraba market. He gave us Rich Hospital. He gave us the Bank Pukana Hospital, right? And many more. He developed the Circle Interchange, the Kaswa Interchange, and many more with just 44 billion. This current irresponsible and clueless government have borrowed over 780 billion in this country. They've added over 600 billion to our public debt, yet they cannot boast of anything. Yet they have full availability of money. Aside the debts they've taken, President Mahama left them $250 million in the sinking fund. President Mahama left them $250 million in the stabilization fund. He left them $270 million in the GIF, Ghana Infrastructural Investment Fund. Yet they came and dissipated all. He gave them 3 oil fields that brought on board over 3 billion. They came and dissipated all. He gave them ESRA that brought on board over 3 billion. They came and dissipated all. So President Mahama is saying that it is not the huge amount of money made available to you that will determine the development of a nation. It takes a sensitive leader. It takes a leader who thinks about the plight of the Ghanaian people. It takes a leader who is concerned about the development of the youth of this country to develop a nation. And President Mahama is saying that, look, even that 44 billion he had taken, at the time he was running a government of about 83 or so ministers. This time, he will not even take that much, but he will cut down the size of ministers he has in government. You know how much government of Ghana spends on one minister in this country? Government on a monthly basis spends over 100,000 Ghana cedis on just one minister, because we pay his salary, we give him allowances, we pay his fuel, his DSTV, his garden boy, everything. So cutting down on over 40 ministers to make his ministers 60 ministers saves a lot to employ over 100,000 Ghanaian youth and pay them on a monthly basis. And that's why President Mahama is confident that, look, upon assumption of office, we are going into full force of a 24-hour economy. That policy is going to create sustainable jobs for the Ghanaian youth. It's going to boost development in this country. It's going to increase our growth rates through productivity in this country. And Ghana, in a very long time, is going to commence exporting, products in huge quantities. This 3-shift system is going to create way for over 1.8 million unemployed youth in this country to find space in the employment corridor and work to boost productivity in this country. That's why President Mahama is confident that women in this country need soft loans to start businesses in this country. And you in the studio, I see that, look, you'll be one of the people who should come for some of these soft loans to get a side business aside what you are doing on screen. And I will see the joy all over you because, look, it's President Mahama who provide that women's bank, create the opportunity for you to get a loan and start a little business on the side. President Mahama has promised farmers a farming cooperative where we are going to set up farming, cooperatives in every district, farming district in this country. Remember, before 2016, when we were distributing the free fertilizers to cocoa farmers and the hybrid seeds, remember, it's the same policy, but this time we are expanding it to include the supply of tractors, the supply of hoes and farm equipment so that farmers all across the country can have access to these things. Look, it's sad that we still import tomatoes to a tune of 3 billion. It is sad that we still import onion to a tune of 2.2 billion. Why? When we have same soil, look, Cote d'Ivoire took the COVID-19 money and decided to go into agric. Today we import pepper pepper to a tune of 2.2 billion from Cote d'Ivoire. When we got our COVID-19 funds, President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia, they decided to start flying private jets. They decided to share it to parliamentary candidates. They decided to corrupt, to stick corruption in it and siphon funds that were meant to progress the economy of this
allegations
country.
We can't prove, Malik. Allegations we can't prove, Malik.
I can prove it.
You can't. So I'm sure my producers will get in touch.
Let me prove it right now to you.
My producers will get in touch.
Let me prove it right now. The Auditor General said over 11 billion out of the 21 billion was not accounted for. And that 21 billion, Felicia Tete, who is a parliamentary candidate of Sanargu, told us that they shared it to them, 100,000, 200,000. The Auditor General said they used 15 million to renovate a house at Adakulu and bought the house for 21 million. They couldn't account for it. They siphoned the funds. So I can go detail. The people the finance minister paid without clearance certificates. He gave them contracts. They never brought any certificate, yet he doled out funds to them. They said they had given insurance to over 100,000 frontline workers. It wasn't so. The Auditor General said he never saw an insurance certificate when he visited the ministry. So, my sister, I can prove that they siphoned the funds, they dissipated it, and they engaged in chop-chop. And that is why Ghana today, we have to go to neighboring desert countries to loan funds. Yet, President Mahama also promised scrapping obnoxious and unnecessary taxes. Yes, we have unnecessary taxes like the COVID-19 levy. President Mahama does not see why we still pay COVID tax when we are out of COVID. President Mahama says there's a 10% tax on sports betting. He doesn't see why we should be paying that. Biggest of all is the e-levy they brought on board. That siphons money from us. My sister, if you want to send even 2,000 Ghana cedis and you look at the amount of taxes you pay on it, you just look in the sky and curse Bawumia and then Nanado, because it is sad that you just dip your hand in my wallet and siphon monies, from the money supposed to send to
Malik,
people.
unfortunately, we're running out of time. I'll let you wrap up as we end the conversation.
Yes. And biggest of all, one of the policies that interests me is when President Mahama says he will fight corruption. My sister, it is sad that we are in a state of full force corruption, where the special prosecutor even labels our president as the mother serpent of corruption. You know what that means? That's a corrupt snake who has decided to infect its children.
Okay, Malik. I see you have a lot to say. Hold on for me. Just hold on for me. I will come back to you shortly. The former Deputy Finance Minister and MP for Obuasi West, Kweku Kwarteng, has attributed the current economic woes of Ghana at both the national level and in households to bad politics and economic mismanagement. In a write-up titled, "To Break the Eight, We Must First Break the Norm," the recently removed chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Mr. Kwarteng, says the way Ghana's economy is run is no different from a Ponzi scheme. Now, on your screen shortly will be portions of that write-up, and it reads, "We, the MPP, are looking to break the eight. It is an expectation coming at a time when hostile external factors have imposed considerable hardship on the average Ghanaian voter. But it's not just external factors that threaten our chances of electoral victory. The economic problems Ghana is facing today at both the national level and in households are also the cumulative effects of many decades spanning different governments of the bad politics and economic mismanagement that have characterized the governance of our country." Now, he tables 4 different things the NPP must do if they hope to break the eight. The first is, you must acknowledge the past and present failures of political class to provide the kind of quality leadership required to avert the mess in which we find ourselves as a country today. The second point, he says, adopt deep and far-reaching reforms to address the decades of bad politics and economic mismanagement. He says we must convince voters that we shall be ruthless in our determination to fix this country, that we shall stay the course no matter the challenges, and that there shall be no sacred cows. And the third point he raises, he says we must lead by example, referring to the NPP. We must address concerns about how much of our national resources we spend on ourselves as politicians and take steps to overhaul the corrupt public procurement regime we inherited from previous governments and have continued to live with. I would come to Malik to get a reaction from this, because he claims that indeed there has been an inheritance of bad governance and poor procurement procedures. Malik, get ready to respond to that. Now, the fourth point he raises is that once we lead by example, we can say with integrity to our people that we are sinking in a common boat and call on all Ghanaians to duty. Malik, I'll get your reaction to that write-up by a member of the NPP.
Especially, point 3, that speaks about the procurement processes that have been corrupted, in this economy. You remember the contracts for sale, you remember, under this government, where they were selling contracts to cronies. People were buying contracts that are supposed to be fairly bidded for by qualified, contractors in this country, were being bought. And an investigative piece exposed all those things from a media man of your media house, of high reputation. We saw how they were selling contracts like granite in this country. You remember Alistair Matthias, the gold mafia who was arrested and investigated by the Al Jazeera, how he said President Akufo-Addo was his very good friend, and that they had sold certain contracts to him, and he goes out there looking for buyers to some of these contracts. You saw how the Nyantechi exposé, Nazari Miao exposé on Nyantechi, he said if you give President Akufo-Addo $3 million, you put him in your pocket. If you give Bawumia $2 million, he will shake his head, all the contracts, boreholes, and the rest will be yours. We've seen series of these corrupt exposés by people, and all these corruption exposés fingers President Akufo-Addo and fingers Alhaji Bawumia. And so if Kuku Kwatin says that, look, we cannot break the eight with these corrupt practices. For the first time in the history of this country, a president appoints his daughter to the Creative Arts Industry Board. Not just that, he awards a spare part, an ambulance contract to his daughter's company. It has never happened in the history of this country. And sometimes I think that it is just last-minute gathering of the little reserves that have been left. Let's steal, let's siphon, let's take all the goodies left, because we know we are leaving office. But look, I am happy that President Mahama has not minced words. He keeps saying that we'll prosecute corrupt officials. The last time one of their corrupt deputy ministers was accusing me of being unemployed. And I said, yes, why wouldn't I be unemployed? You deputy minister, you've appointed your brother and given your brother contract. The contract I would have gotten, you've given it to your brother. The job I would have gotten, President Akufo-Addo has given it to his daughter. The job I would have gotten, Bawumia has given it to his brother, Mumuni Bawumia, at the Interior Ministry, has given the other job I would have gotten to his brother, Abu Ramadan, as Deputy NADMO CEO. Even his wife's father, they've given a job as ambassador to Saudi Arabia. So if government officials will appoint...
Not an issue of just this government. Malik, hold on for me. This is not an issue of just this government, because I recall under your administration, the Maslock boss, the then Maslock boss, Sedina Tamaklo, was operating as the head of Maslock. Now, she has since been jailed, although she's not in the country, for causing financial loss to the state, for fraudulent activities, for money laundering. But if you plan to deal with corruption, what do you then do when people in your government, they're also part of the problem?
So that, I am not against any government dealing with anybody in corruption. But we want to see them first crack the whip in their government. We've had too many corruption exposés under their government. A deputy minister, sports minister, took over 100 journalists, fake journalists, to Austria. He said he was taking them there, to go and cover live the games. You remember, when they asked somebody, what is a recorder? He was looking at it. He thought it was precursor. He didn't even know what a recorder was. They deported all of them. They banned you journalists from even going for the Commonwealth Games in that same year, because Ghana had dubiously brought fraudulent and fake people in the name of journalists. What happened to that investigation on Pius Enamajide? Have you seen the report? The chief clearing agent cleared him even before the report could come. Charles Bisiu, a presidential staffer very close to Akufo-Addo, was the first man to count corruption money on camera. People who even take corrupt money, they hide it before counting. This man was counting. An act exposé unraveled it for us. Have you seen any report in that investigation? The president himself dubiously inflated the Ameri deal from 510 million to over 1.3 billion. When we caught him red-handed and stripped him naked, he said he was misled. Today, do you know who misled him? Has the president told us who misled him? Has he told us who sat with him to teach him how to increase and balloon that Had it not been that we caught him of that contract, he would have fled, run away with 800 million. For the first time, his own special prosecutor said he was the mother serpent of corruption. Has he instituted any investigation against his own
Malik,
characters?
unfortunately, we're running out of time. I would have to come in at this point. Malik, I know you have a lot to share with us, and in subsequent bulletin, we'll let you come in studio so that we can dissect these issues. I'm also looking forward to the official launch of the NDC's manifesto in the Central Region. That way we can have more issues to look at. Moving on, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana strike has entered the 7th week. CETAG has been on strike since June, demanding better conditions of service, including the implementation of the arbitral awards given by the National Labour Commission. Let's get the latest on this. We've got Prince Obinghima with us on the line. He is CETAG's president. Thank you for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, the last time we engaged CETAG, you tell us that an agreement has been drafted between CETAG and your employers. However, the necessary signature has not been appended on the agreement, the reason why your strike continues unabated. Has that document been signed now?
Hi, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Yes, the document has been signed. It got signed and then was sent to me over the weekend, but unfortunately I had traveled to my village. So I got back to the office this morning, had it fully downloaded. We have actually sent somebody to follow up for the original copy apart from the scanned copy that was sent to us so we can authenticate it. And we are going into the much-awaited council meeting tomorrow. That is, if we are certain that the document we have is very genuine and inconsistent with our position and what I said when we came out from the meeting. We said that the government, through the Ministry of Education, and other assigns of government, demonstrated goodwill. We're waiting for the finance minister to commit herself and himself to the document and the fair wages. Since that has been done, we'll go into the council meeting, brief council, and speak to the document. So the council will take a decision that will also reflect the collective interest of the association, taking into consideration the situation on the ground, the students, our welfare, the nation, and will come out with a collective decision.
As we await the decision of the council meeting, we're hoping that you would call off the strike. Would that happen after the meeting tomorrow?
I'm unable to speak, and that would amount to disrespect to council. We are saying that we went for the meeting. We are the vessel through which the association ran. We are sent by council, and we have gone to articulate the concerns, aspirations, and what have you of the members, the rank and file in the meeting. MOA has been signed, now fully signed by all the assigns of government. So we'll go into the meeting. There are also people who are interested in the smooth running of the state, interested in the smooth running of the colleges, I'm interested in the smooth running of our own future and economies. So we'll look into all of those things and come out with a decision. I think it will be disrespectful if I stand here and say that the council is going to say this and that, and I decline to do that.
Okay. Prince, as we wrap up, the next line of action, should you decide to call off your strike after the council meeting, would be to return to the classrooms. But then you've been away for 7 weeks. How do you plan to cover up your curriculum?
We are still on strike. Council hasn't decided. It's happened before when we eventually have to take a decision, and it happens that we have to call off. We have always demonstrated that we are prepared to collaborate with the administrators, that is the principals, to be able to fashion out, a schedule. So we'll be able to recover. But we are not there yet. When we get there, we'll be able to, work to resolve things.
Thank you, Prince Obeng. He's president of CETAG. Let's do some other stories. Joy News investigation have uncovered how custom officials take bribes to allow traders to transport smuggled goods from neighboring countries. These officials take bribes as little as 20 Ghana cedis to allow traders who have evaded paying taxes on their goods cross our borders. In our latest Hotline documentary, Porous Borders, investigative journalist Kwetenate reveals how the country's inland borders are becoming a hotbed for the transit of smuggled goods.
We have driven through several checkpoints with these goods without tax stamps from Aplau through to Dabala to Segakope without being flagged. Our movement through these checkpoints was smooth until the customs officials in her mid-30s flagged us to stop at the Sugakope checkpoint. The investigative team assumed this customs official who stopped us was to inspect these goods would get us to pay taxes on the assorted drinks. But we were in for a shocker. She demanded the team pay a bribe of 400 cedis. She allowed us to pay 200 cedis after some minutes of negotiations. I have succeeded in meeting one of the smuggling kingpins in Elubo, who identified himself as Error. For every box of rice he brings from Ivory Coast to Ghana, he charges 20 cedis. It is this amount he pays off to customs officials he works with to facilitate his business. If he can transport 500 bags of rice to Elubo, he will earn 10,000 cedis.
Me charge and you ever say be about 300, about 320. In the meantime, the dear measure bear 500 bags. It's me drew and much church. A customs one and see a bear more day. I know the 20 cities in man, maybe 20 cities. I didn't know problem.
The investigative team decided to test these claims made by the traders and commercial drivers. We bought several boxes of rice from neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. At the Elubo border post, this customs official, who was identified as Kujo, allowed our boxes of rice bought from La Côte d'Ivoire into Ghana. We did not pay the statutory taxes. When the team got to the customs checkpoint at Samir, our vehicle was inspected by two customs officials. They asked me to follow them to their office. They demanded I paid a bribe of 20 cedis and left me to go with the boxes of rice.
So I'm going to use it to celebrate small Xmas. What do you have? Rice. How much? 3. You are going to use it. I'll just come to my pastor. And then other people. We are in the festive season. I'll dash you one and pay for the two. How much should I pay? 20. Thank you very much. There's a book for me. Hey, thank you very much. My number is I thought you were coming to give me receipt. Oh. But the receipt when you pay the duty. The duty is
Well, the full documentary airs later today at 8:30 p.m. Do make a date on the Joel News channel. Now, the distant spring at the base of the Mampong Scrubs in the Ashanti region has served the Ningting and Wendem communities for so long. Every morning before dawn, the pupils of Wendem MA and Ningting RC Basic School begin a journey trekking miles during exhaustion and disrupted sleep before assessing the ground for water. In this series of Safe Water, Clinton Yeboah spent a day gauging the dire water crisis in the community and the implications on residents.
Basic school pupils of Hwidiam MA Basic School begin their day hours before most of their peers. At 4 a.m., they begin a vigorous exercise not to study, but to scoop water from a distant spring at the base of the Mampon Scarp. So far from the township, about 40 minutes from the Hwidiam township, this has been a daily fright of students and of residents, because daily they have to journey through these bush and areas to have access to water, despite the dangers that may come. The over 135 pupils in the community bear the brunt of exhaustion from their cut-off sleep and early morning treks of long miles, while the far-reaching access to water repels teachers from staying in the Hwidiam community. Head teacher of Hwidiam MA Basic School, Ajiman Kwame, narrates how the tiredness impacts students' schoolwork.
What it means is that they come to school already tired, because they didn't have enough rest, and when they came to school they were already tired. So teaching and learning affects the assimilation. For those who wait till daybreak before fetching water, they either come to school very late or they decide not to come at all. As a result of the water situation in the community, the teachers in this school do not live in this community. They stay in Mampon, so they commute from Mampon to this town on a daily basis.
Flowing quietly through a natural exit point, the groundwater beneath the scarps at Hwidiam emerges from the aquifer, flowing onto the top to become surface water. So after a frantic journey and process to get to this area, what you see is water dripping from corners and centers of this rock. And just as you can see, you can barely see water dripping enough for people. But like this gentleman, this has been a major water supply for the people of Hwidiam.
I
meet a lot of people here, and I don't leave early. I join very long queue every morning. I can spend like an hour here.
How much time? To spend it 1 hour per hour.
The underground water lies bare without shade, allowing for more pollution from animals and erosion particles. Kwame Inti was seen washing from the same spot of the running water. He says the journey to the place is too far, and like many others, he cannot fetch and wash at home at a vigorous context in queues to get water. Neighboring communities also join us, so our numbers are huge, mostly in the morning. Sometimes you have to fight your way through. The situation gets similarly dire at the adjoining community, Nintin. The Nintin water source seems to be oozing from the ground into a naturally created platform where school kids scoop with their cups. I'm not even sure I have words for the type of water source that this is, but yes, these are kids and students of Nintin trying to scoop as much as water that they may need, because having to wake up so early in the morning the next day and join queues in order to have access to water may be something that they find frantic, and so they are trying to save time by coming here after school and save enough water for the next day. They recount missing academic tests due to lateness from enduring long queues. We are always late for school and we miss class tests. This is why we are here at this time. The issue extends beyond the school grounds. The linguist for the Hwidiam Queen Mother, Yapedu, expressed concern about the broader implication of the situation, particularly for women. Old folks can't fetch water. They have no help. We suffer a lot as women, combining distress with famine. It is also important to note that the Kufor gallon is one of the valuable assets in households of Nintin, because without it, you have no container to save water for the next day. For those seeking cleaner, pipe-borne water, the infamous yellow container of 4 gallon has become the only option, with a gallon costing 2 cedis. Each household need about 30 gallons per week to survive.
You're watching NewsX. We'll be back after this break with business.
All right, welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao, Deputy Executive Director of the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development. Wilberforce Latte has called on the government to deliberately increase spending to promote non-chemical farming as an alternative to sustainable agricultural measures. At a workshop in Sunyani for Queen Mothers on agroecology and climate change in the transition zone, Mr. Latte says such workable alternatives would not only protect health and the environment, but also help farmers save resources. Precious Semevo has more.
The engagement of 40 Queen Mothers from the Bono and a half regions in Sunyani ensured a better understanding of agroecology as a climate change adaptation and mitigation strategy. It also strengthened their capacity to play a more meaningful role in addressing the impacts of climate change. The Queens outlined some action plans, including advocacy on indigenous farming practices and foods, with a call to regulate chemical use. Bono Programs Manager of Action Aid Ghana, Kwame Afram-Dentra, wants support for the Queens to ensure they play critical roles in sustainable management and use of natural resources.
They know all the issues that we are discussing. What is left is for us to give them the necessary push. They have a critical role to play as management of national resources is concerned. They are talking about environmental pollution, they are talking about drying of rivers and other things. Even there is a suggestion that they should look at enforcing the bylaws in the communities on how they can protect their river bodies at a community level, which they used to do earlier. And we are just emphasizing that they should continue to play that role and be firm on perpetrators of the destruction of the environment.
Deputy Executive Director of the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, Wilberforce Latte, called for increased government spending to promote safe indigenous farming practices due to the many benefits.
If because of the crisis, we can go back to manures. So it means that manures are useful. And so we think that there should be increased government spending on promoting these alternatives, this non-chemical farming. So if we put in some seriousness, we should be able to incentivize the use of our traditional ways of farming. And so when the farmers are exposed to the alternatives, which is locally driven, they will save a lot of resources. And I must say that we are ingesting a lot of chemicals through our eating habits. You see, we also need to appreciate government. If government bans chemical substances now without ensuring that the alternatives are available, there will be crisis. You know, so I think for what we are doing as civil society and other stakeholders, we are demonstrating that it works. The alternatives are working.
On her part, the Bono Regional Minister, Justina Osu-Banahene, emphasized the need for the government to create and implement policies and programs that support small-scale farmers and equitable access to resources. Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyani.
Now, Ghana's insurance sector is expected to witness a stronger growth with a partnership of 2 global players. This follows the approval by the National Insurance Commission for Sanlam and Allianz Insurance to form a joint venture to operate in the country. Speaking at a media engagement to announce the new Sanlam Alliance, Chief Executive Teria Ben Ahmed assured that this partnership will spur growth for the sector and support the economy. Yes, more. Sanlam and Allianz, the two insurance giants that formed Africa's largest non-banking financial services company through a joint venture named Sanlam Allianz in 2023, have launched their Sanlam Allianz brand in Ghana. This is one of the biggest joint ventures in the country's insurance industry, aiming to increase coverage and supporting growth. In an interview to announce the new business, Chief Executive of Sanlam Allianz Life, Teria Ben Ahmed, said the move will empower more people with financial confidence.
Sanlam and Allianz entities in Africa, about 80 entities have come under Sanlam Allianz across 27 countries. And the purpose of this is actually to empower generations to be financially confident, secure and prosperous. What this means to Ghana and the Ghana insurance market is that Sanlam Allianz in most African countries is either number one or within the top three, or is a champion. And has done this, like I said, over a period of over 2 centuries. And therefore, this launch of Sanlam Allianz in Ghana gives us the opportunity to be able to bring to Ghanaians what Sanlam Allianz has done in over 27 countries and empowering a lot of individuals, businesses, and families to live with financial confidence.
Chief Executive of Sanlam Allianz General Insurance Ghana, Mabel Nananya Kwapobli, said the joint venture in Ghana is strategic.
The Sanlam Allianz brand is in 27 countries, including Ghana. And then Ghana is a very strategic market for them. Allianz has been here over a decade. Sanlam used to be in the market for over 20 years before it came as Sanlam as a brand. So they've been in the market and they understand that the opportunities in the Ghanaian market. Insurance penetration is still under 2%. Coverage is only 25%. There's so much more that you can do, but you need to crack that thing that allows you to penetrate the 75%. And that's what we bring to this market.
The new venture promises to use innovation and technology to advance growth in the sector. All right, and that's it for this segment. The news will be right back.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin here on News 6. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. CETAG strike enters week 7 as leadership awaits government signature on new agreement. We got an update here on News 6. They said that agreement has been signed. They'll move on to a council meeting and then determine if the strike would be called off. My name is Faustina Safo. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. I'll be back at 12 p.m. with the midday news.